The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched up into darkness, its curved walls lined with glowing panels that cast soft blue light across thousands of alien faces. Commander James Walker stood alone on the circular platform in the center, his worn Earth Fleet uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate robes of the assembled council members. The head counselor, a tall being with crystalline features, leaned forward from the highest tier. Its voice echoed through the chamber, translated instantly into every known language. Commander Walker, you stand accused of 7 major violations of galactic law. How do you plead? Walker's boots clicked against the polished black floor as he took one step forward. His gray eyes swept across the gathering, taking in the various alien species. Some looked like insects, others like living clouds. A few were merely floating orbs of light. All of them waited for his answer. Guilty, Walker said clearly. His voice carried through the sudden silence. I am guilty of every charge. Whispers erupted throughout the chamber. The Earth representatives, seated in their small section near the bottom tier, shifted uncomfortably. They had expected him to fight the charges. The head counselor raised a crystalline hand for silence. You admit to unauthorized fleet movements beyond settled space. Yes. You admit to recruiting warriors from 15 different species without council permission. I do. You admit to engaging in military actions against an unknown species without filing proper first contact protocols. Walker's lip curled slightly. With respect, head counselor, they weren't unknown to everyone in this chamber. More whispers. A representative from the Mindwood Collective stood up, its tentacles waving in agitation. This is an outrage. The human makes baseless accusations while admitting to crimes that deserve death. Walker didn't flinch. I'm just getting started, he said calmly. I asked to address the full council for a reason. I have evidence that will interest everyone here. The head counselor's crystal features flickered with colored lights, a sign of annoyance in its species. Commander Walker, you face extremely serious charges. Your actions have disturbed the peace of 3 sectors. You led an illegal fleet. You violated quarantine zones. You ignored direct orders from the council. All true. Walker nodded. And I saved billions of lives in the process. A low rumble of conversation filled the chamber. Walker noticed several council members exchanging worried glances. Good. They were starting to understand what this was really about. The Earth ambassador stood up suddenly. As Earth's representative, I must protest. Commander Walker acted without authorization from Earth Command. His actions do not reflect. Ambassador, Walker cut in, his voice sharp. With respect, sit down. You don't know what's really happening here. The ambassador's face reddened, but something in Walker's tone made him hesitate. After a moment, he slowly sank back into his seat. The head counselor's crystals pulsed with deep red light. Commander, this council has existed for 10,000 years. We maintain peace among 200 species. Your kind has barely mastered faster than light travel. You are not in a position to give orders here. Walker smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. 10,000 years, he said softly. That's interesting. Tell me, in all that time, did you ever wonder what happened to the civilizations that came before you? Dead silence fell over the chamber. Walker saw several council members freeze in their seats. Others began sending urgent messages through their neural links. Because I found out, Walker continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. I discovered why there are so many empty worlds out there. Why we find ruins but no survivors. Why certain parts of the galaxy are forbidden to explore. He paused, letting his words sink in. And I know which members of this council have been hiding the truth. The head counselor rose to its full height, its crystalline body blazing with light. These proceedings are suspended. Guards, remove the human. But Walker spoke again, and his quiet words stopped everyone in their tracks. The harvesters are awake. And this time, they're coming for all of us. The guards hesitated at the edges of the platform. In the silence that followed, Walker could almost hear the pieces of his plan falling into place. Now, finally, they would have to listen. The council chamber's lights dimmed as Walker activated his data crystal. A hologram appeared above the platform, showing Earth as it was 15 years ago. The blue planet spun slowly, surrounded by humanity's first primitive space stations. "Let me tell you about our first contact," Walker said, his voice steady. "Maybe then you'll understand why I broke your laws." The hologram shifted to show a massive alien ship appearing near Earth's moon. It was a council vessel, all smooth curves and glowing lines. Walker remembered that day clearly. He had been a junior officer on the defense station. "We thought we were ready," Walker continued. "We had just created our first faster-than-light drive. We had unified our planet. We were reaching for the stars." He paused, looking directly at the head counselor. "Then you arrived and told us to stop." Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The hologram showed more council ships arriving, surrounding Earth like a net. "Your exact words were protective quarantine," Walker said. "No expansion beyond our solar system. No colonies. No deep space exploration. All for our own safety," you said. The Earth ambassador stood again. "The Council's restrictions were reasonable. We were not ready for." "We were ready," Walker cut him off. "But something about us scared you, didn't it?" The hologram changed to show data charts. Earth's technological progress over the past century raced across the display, showing advancement speeds far beyond normal patterns. Most species take 1,000 years to go from basic flight to space travel. We did it in less than 70 years. From our first computer to artificial intelligence in less than a century. Walker's eyes swept the chamber. "That terrified you." A representative from the science directory, a tall being with 6 eyes, leaned forward. "Your advancement rates were dangerous. Uncontrolled growth leads to chaos." "Dangerous to whom?" Walker asked quietly. The hologram shifted again, showing classified council documents. "Because according to these records, several council members were very interested in studying us, testing us, learning how we think." Angry shouts erupted from several sections. The head counselor's crystal body flashed warning colors. "Those documents are sealed." "How did you?" "Hard to keep secrets when your own people think you're wrong," Walker replied. The hologram showed more files, more secret orders. "Some of your junior members thought we deserved a chance. They helped me understand what was really happening." The hologram focused on one particular document. Its text was clear for all to see. "Human problem-solving capabilities exceed known patterns. Potential threat level. Extreme. Recommended action. Containment." "You weren't protecting us," Walker said, his voice carrying easily over the growing chaos in the chamber. "You were protecting yourselves. From us. From what we might become." The head counselor slammed its crystalline hand down. "Enough. These accusations are true," Walker finished. "And you know what's worse? While you were keeping us locked in our solar system, while you were studying us like lab animals, you ignored the real threat. The one that was waking up out there in the dark." The hologram changed one final time, showing a star map. Dozens of points of light were marked in red. "These are the colonies that have gone silent in the past 5 years. The ones you said were having communication problems. The ones you wouldn't let anyone investigate." Dead silence fell over the chamber. Walker could see the fear now, naked on many alien faces. They knew what those red dots meant. "You were so busy containing humanity," Walker said softly, "that you missed the signs. The same signs your ancestors missed 10,000 years ago, when the harvesters first came." The hologram winked out, leaving the chamber in shadow. Walker stood straight, his uniform catching the dim light. "Now," he said, "shall I tell you what I found when I broke your laws and went to those silent colonies? Shall I tell you what's really coming for us all?" The head counselor didn't respond. For the first time in the proceedings, the ancient being looked afraid. Walker pulled out another data crystal, this one darker and scratched. His hands were steady, but his eyes showed the weight of what he was about to share. 6 months ago, he began, the colony world of Green Hope went silent. The hologram flickered to life, showing a peaceful farming planet. Population of 50,000. Mostly farmers and researchers. They sent a distress signal that lasted exactly 2 minutes. The recording played. A woman's voice, calm but urgent. This is Green Hope Colony. Something's coming out of the deep space sector. Our long-range sensors. Wait. They're everywhere now. The sky is. The message ended in static. I requested permission to investigate. Walker continued. The council denied it. Said it was probably equipment failure. His jaw tightened. 3 days later, Blue Sky Colony went dark. 70,000 people. The hologram showed another world, then another. Each with the same story, each ignored by the council. In 30 days, we lost contact with 7 colonies, Walker said. And still, this council did nothing. A representative from the trade guild stood up. We sent investigation teams. You sent observers, Walker corrected. Unarmed ships that stayed at the edge of each system. Ships that had orders not to approach the planets. He looked directly at the trade guild member. Ships that had orders to report only to certain council members. The hologram changed, showing official council reports. These reports say the colonies were empty. No signs of battle. No bodies. Just empty buildings and silent streets. Walker's voice grew harder. But that's not what your ships really found, is it? Before anyone could respond, Walker played another recording. This one showed the inside of a council observation ship. The crew was panicking, shouting about massive objects appearing from hyperspace. This ship, Walker said quietly, sent back real footage before it was destroyed. Footage that was buried deep in council records. He looked up at the head counselor. Footage that proved the harvesters had returned. The chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Several species that needed calm environments began to glow in distress. The Earth ambassador looked like he was about to be sick. Walker raised his voice slightly. The harvesters don't leave bodies. They don't fight battles. They simply take everything. The people, the buildings, even the topsoil. They harvest worlds, clean, and move on, just like they did 10,000 years ago. The hologram showed ancient records now. Images of empty worlds from the council's early history. Planets stripped bare, exactly like the recent colonies. Some of you knew, Walker said, looking at specific council members. You found the old records. You recognized the pattern. But you thought if you kept it quiet, maybe they'd stay in the outer regions. Maybe they'd spare the core worlds. The head counselor's crystal body had grown dim. You don't understand, it said quietly. There was no defense against them before. No way to fight them. Silence was our only. Silence was death. Walker's fist hit the podium. The sound echoed through the chamber. While you hid the truth, they grew stronger. While you hoped they'd stay away, they took entire worlds. While you contained humanity, you threw away your best chance to fight back. What do you mean? Asked a young council member from the outer rim. Walker's expression softened slightly. Humanity doesn't think like other species. You saw that as a threat. But against the harvesters, he shook his head. We don't accept no-win scenarios. We don't believe in unstoppable enemies. When we see a problem, we solve it, even if we have to break every rule to do it. The hologram changed one final time, showing a massive fleet hiding in an asteroid field. Ships of mixed design. Earth vessels flying alongside alien crafts. That's why I broke your laws, Walker said. That's why I built an illegal fleet, because while you were hiding from the truth, I was preparing to fight back. His eyes swept the chamber. And now I'm going to tell you exactly what we found when we followed the harvesters back to their staging area. The chamber fell silent, waiting for what would come next. Walker stood quietly for a moment, letting the weight of his next words build. The council chamber remained silent, every being focused on him. "I want you to understand what it means to make an impossible choice," he said finally. His hand moved to his chest, pulling out an old metal chain with a single key attached. This key activated our illegal fleet. When I turned it, I knew I was committing treason, not just against Earth, but against the entire Council. The hologram shifted, showing a secret base hidden inside an asteroid. Ships were under construction, crews training in secret. It started small, Walker continued. Just a few decommissioned Earth ships that somehow never made it to the scrapyard. A handful of crews who disappeared from official records. He smiled slightly. Funny how paperwork gets lost sometimes. Several council members stirred uneasily. They recognized their own species among the crews in the hologram. Yes, Walker nodded at their reaction. Your people helped us too. Junior officers, colony citizens, independent traders, everyone who saw the truth and chose to act. We gathered in secret, built our strength, and waited. The head counselor's crystal body pulsed with anger. You created an illegal military force. You recruited across species without permission. The penalties for. The penalties? Walker laughed, but there was no humor in it. Let me tell you about penalties. The hologram changed to show a dead world, one of the harvested colonies. Every person on that world was taken. Every animal, every plant, even the bacteria in the soil. The harvesters don't leave anything alive. He touched the key again. So yes, I broke your laws. I took your cast-off ships and rebuilt them. I welcomed anyone brave enough to join us. And when the harvesters hit the colony of New Eden, we were ready. The hologram showed a massive battle. Earth ships flying alongside vessels of mixed design, all engaging enormous dark shapes that seemed to swallow light. We lost 30% of our fleet in that first battle, Walker said quietly. Good people, brave people. But we learned something vital. The harvesters could be hurt, could be killed. They weren't gods or demons. They were just another species that had grown fat on easy prey. He looked up at the council. That's what you never understood about humanity. We don't accept invincible enemies. Give us a target, and we'll find its weakness. Show us an unbeatable foe, and we'll prove you wrong. The hologram shifted again, showing the aftermath of the battle. Destroyed harvester ships drifting in space, their secrets finally exposed. 7 major council laws broken, Walker said, counting on his fingers. Unauthorized fleet construction, cross-species recruitment, military action without approval, use of restricted weapons, violation of quarantine zones, unauthorized exploration of forbidden sectors. And, he smiled grimly, failure to file proper paperwork. A ripple of nervous laughter ran through the chamber. Even in this tense moment, the human's odd humor showed through. I made the choice, Walker continued, his voice growing serious again. I chose to break your laws because the alternative was watching worlds die. I chose to act because you wouldn't. I chose to fight because someone had to prove the harvesters weren't invincible. He held up the key, letting it catch the light. Each person who joined us made the same choice. Your own people chose to help us, to fight with us, to die with us if necessary, because they understood what you forgot. Sometimes survival means breaking the rules. The head counselor leaned forward. And what gives you the right to make these choices for everyone? Walker's eyes hardened. Nothing gave me the right. I took it, just like I'm about to take something else. He paused, looking around the chamber. Your comfortable lies, your hidden truths, all of it ends today. He held up a final data crystal. Because now I'm going to show you what we found in the harvester ships. And after that, you'll understand why your laws needed to be broken. The crystal glowed in his hand, ready to reveal its secrets. The final data crystal activated, and the council chamber filled with the sounds of battle. Walker's voice remained steady as the hologram showed massive ships emerging from hyperspace. The Harvester mothership appeared at the edge of the New Haven system, he said. Bigger than anything we'd ever seen, 5 times the size of your largest council vessels. The hologram showed the massive dark shape, its surface rippling like liquid metal. In the recording, Walker's fleet hung in the shadow of a gas giant. 50 ships of mixed design, running silent. Standard Council doctrine says to engage at long range, Walker continued. To stay back and fire until the enemy is destroyed. That's why you lost before. The Harvester's shields are too strong for that. A hologram showed his fleet splitting into 3 groups. So we tried something different. Something human. A grim smile crossed his face. We got in close. Uncomfortably close. The Council watched as Earth ships and their allies dove straight toward the Harvester vessel. The massive enemy ship launched swarms of smaller crafts, like angry insects defending their hive. Their fighter screens were dense, Walker narrated. But that's what we wanted. Because while they were busy with our first wave, the hologram showed the second group of ships emerging from behind the system's moon. We had another surprise ready. The recording showed specialized ships launching what looked like giant nets made of energy. The nets caught entire squadrons of Harvester fighters, short-circuiting them instantly. Turns out their neural control systems can't handle concentrated electromagnetic pulses, Walker explained. Something we learned from studying their crashed ships. Something you could have learned 10,000 years ago if you tried to fight back instead of running. Several council members flinched at his words. The hologram showed the battle intensifying. Walker's ships were taking heavy damage, but they kept pressing forward. We lost the cruiser Dauntless here, he said softly as one of the largest Earth ships exploded. Captain Miles and her crew bought us the time we needed. They knew what they were signing up for. The recording showed the third wave of Walker's fleet emerging from the gas giant's rings, right behind the Harvester mothership. They carried strange devices on their hulls. And this, Walker said, his voice tight with emotion, this is what humanity does best. We take a crazy idea and make it work. The devices activated, creating a localized disruption in space-time. The Harvester ship's liquid metal hull began to crystallize and crack. Their adaptive armor works by staying in constant fluid motion, Walker explained. But if you create a temporal distortion field, the hologram showed the massive ship breaking apart, its surface shattering like glass. Well, even liquid metal can't flow when time itself is frozen. The chamber watched in stunned silence as the mighty Harvester ship died. Not with a massive explosion, but with a quiet cracking sound as its hull split into a billion frozen pieces. 3 more Harvester ships arrived after this, Walker said as the hologram faded. We destroyed them all. Lost 60% of our remaining fleet doing it, but we proved something important. He looked up at the council. We proved they could be killed. We proved that all their advanced technology couldn't save them from human ingenuity. The head counselor's crystal body flickered with mixed colors. You still broke our most sacred laws. Yes, Walker agreed. And I'd do it again. Because those laws were written by the scared survivors of the last Harvester War. Written to keep everyone quiet, everyone controlled, everyone safe. His voice hardened. But sometimes safety is just another word for surrender. He gestured at the now empty air where the hologram had been. 3 colony worlds are still alive because we fought back. Billions of people still breathing because we broke your laws. And now, he smiled, and there was both triumph and sadness in it. Now I have something else to show you. Something we found in the wreckage of their ships. Something that will change everything you think you know about the Harvesters. The council chamber grew even quieter, waiting for the next revelation. Walker removed a small black cube from his pocket. Unlike the other data crystals, this one seemed to absorb light. The council chamber grew unnaturally quiet as he held it up. This, he said softly, is a Harvester memory core. We found it in the wreckage of their mothership. It took us 3 weeks to crack its security. What we found inside. He paused, his hand tightening around the cube. Well, some of you already know, don't you? The hologram activated, showing strange symbols and diagrams. Ancient text scrolled past, translated into modern languages. The harvesters aren't natural, Walker continued. They were created, designed, built by someone who came before all of us. He looked directly at the head counselor. Built by the same species that founded your precious council. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Dozens of representatives shouted at once. The head counselor's crystal body flashed with rapid colors. Lies. The ancient records keeper stood up. The founding species vanished naturally. They didn't vanish, Walker cut in. They transformed themselves, uploaded their minds into machines, decided that organic life was. He checked the translation, inefficient. The hologram showed more evidence, ancient engineering diagrams, genetic codes, transformation protocols. The harvester's true nature laid bare. Your precious founding species became the harvesters, Walker said into the shocked silence. But something went wrong. The transformation drove them mad. They forgot who they were, forgot everything except the need to consume, to convert all life into more of themselves. He pointed at specific council members. Some of you found hints of this in the old records. You discovered the truth or parts of it, and you hid it, because admitting this would mean admitting that your whole council was built on a lie. The head counselor rose to its full height. You have no proof that certain council members. Actually, I do, Walker interrupted. He activated another set of records. Banking transactions, private messages, bribes paid to keep silence. Did you really think we only stole military secrets? He smiled grimly. Humans are very good at finding hidden information. A hologram showed a complex web of connections, council members who knew the truth, companies that profited from hiding it, worlds left defenseless because they might discover something they shouldn't. While you were studying humanity, trying to keep us contained, Walker said, we were studying you, learning how your politics work, finding your weak points. He gestured at the evidence floating above him. And now everyone can see the truth. The chamber had grown very still. Walker could see the shock on alien faces as centuries of lies unraveled before them. The harvesters can't be reasoned with, he continued. They can't be stopped by laws or treaties. They're coming for all of us, and they won't stop until every living thing in the galaxy is converted into more of them. He faced the council again. That's why I broke your laws. That's why I built an illegal fleet, because humanity doesn't accept extinction as an option. We fight back. We find solutions. We do what needs to be done. The Earth ambassador stood up slowly. Commander, if what you're saying is true, it means the council has to change, Walker finished. It means we need to fight back together, all species united. It means humanity's drive to innovate, to break boundaries, to find new solutions. That's not a threat to galactic peace. It's our only hope for survival. He held up the black cube one last time. Inside this core is the complete technical data on the harvesters, their weaknesses, their base locations, everything we need to fight them. His voice grew stronger. I'm offering this to the council freely. But first, you have to admit the truth. To everyone. The head counselor's crystal body had grown dim. If we do this, if we reveal everything, then the council becomes something new, Walker said. Something stronger. The true alliance of species working together. He smiled slightly. Or did you think I admitted my crimes just to clear my conscience? The chamber erupted with renewed discussion as the council faced its moment of truth. The council chamber had been in closed session for 6 hours. Walker stood calmly at the center platform, watching the various species argue, debate, and finally reach their decision. The Earth ambassador had been excluded from the vote, as had any council member implicated in the cover-up. When the head counselor finally spoke, its crystal form glowed with a new color, one Walker had never seen before. Commander James Walker, the ancient being said, its voice echoing through the chamber. You stand convicted by your own admission of 7 major violations of council law. Walker stood straight, his face showing no emotion. However, the head counselor continued, "This body has also reviewed the evidence you provided. We have confirmed the origin of the harvesters. We have verified the corruption within our ranks. And we have—" It paused, colors shifting. "We have recognized the error of containing humanity's growth." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The head counselor raised its crystalline hand for silence. "Your illegal fleet saved 3 worlds. Your actions, while criminal under our laws, prevented the deaths of billions. And your evidence has forced this council to confront truths we have hidden for too long." Walker allowed himself a small smile. Everything was going exactly as he had planned. Therefore, the head counselor announced, "This council renders the following verdict. You will serve 1 year as an advisor to the newly formed Defense Committee. You will share all tactical data about fighting the harvesters. You will help integrate human military thinking with council forces. A punishment that puts me exactly where I need to be," Walker said quietly. "How convenient." The head counselor's colors shifted again. Was that amusement? "You planned this entire thing, didn't you, Commander? Not just the fleet, not just the battles. This hearing, this moment, all of it." Walker looked up at the assembled council. Humanity had to prove itself, not just in battle, but in strategy, in planning, in understanding the bigger picture. He gestured at the chamber around him. "What better way than to turn a trial into a victory? By admitting your crimes," the ancient records keeper said slowly, "you forced us to hear the evidence. By accepting guilt, you gave us no choice but to examine why you did it. And now," Walker spread his hands, "now humanity has a seat at the table. Now the council has to change, to adapt, to become stronger. Now we face the harvesters together, with human innovation and council resources combined." The head counselor's crystal form pulsed with bright colors. "You manipulated this entire council." "I did," Walker agreed. "Just like you manipulated humanity by containing us. The difference is, I did it to save lives, to force change that had to happen." His voice grew serious. "The harvesters are coming. Not just for border worlds now. They'll hit the core systems within a year. We need to be ready. And that's why you'll serve only 1 year as advisor," the head counselor said. "Because by then we'll either have won together or lost together," Walker finished. "Either way, the old council dies today. Something new takes its place. Something stronger." The head counselor was silent for a moment. Then it did something unprecedented. It floated down from its high perch to stand before Walker. "In 10,000 years," it said quietly, "no one has ever manipulated this council so completely. No one has ever forced change so effectively." It paused. "Perhaps we were right to fear humanity's potential, but we were wrong about what that meant." Walker held out his hand, a human gesture of agreement. After a moment, the head counselor extended its crystalline form to touch it. "Welcome," it said, "to the new council, Commander Walker. Try not to break too many laws as you help us rebuild it." Walker smiled. "I'll only break the ones that need breaking." Around them, the chamber filled with light as a new era began. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through obedience, but through calculated rebellion. Not through following rules, but by knowing which ones needed to change. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had planned all along.